Hello, it's April 2022, and I just want to do a real quick video here, partly inspired by a video that I had seen recently. Now, I did use another video clip as a reference in one of my recent videos, and it was the lawyer who I believe he was out of Michigan who was talking about legal matters. And a friend of mine who is former law enforcement and comes from a family of police officers, detectives, had said, "Have you seen this video that I'm about to talk about real quick here?" I said, "No." And so I just happened to come across it, so I thought I'd give it a watch. Now, it's interesting that there's something that really got my attention, which I'll get to, but just to preface what it's all about. There was an individual who's wrongfully convicted, and he spent, I can't remember, 10, 20 years in prison. Anyway, he was exonerated, and he ended up suing the city and some other parties, as well as the detective who was found to have lied and falsified evidence and everything else just to convict this guy. And so, in a nutshell, the court had dropped the city and a few other parties. I forget the whole details, and still allowed though the detective to defend. Now, the city was paying for the defense, and this individual was successful for $6 million. And the city said, "Well, we're not paying that." Now, I've talked about, for example, the insurance of a city not paying if the police are found to be in the wrong. So that would come out of budget of, for example, of a city. And doubt he's going to ever collect even a portion of it, but that's not my point. The lawyer that was doing this video had said something that really caught my attention. How much money they spent to wrongfully convict him. Now, my friend that I just mentioned, who's former law enforcement, and I've had other friends, we talked about the same type of thing. Over the years, we talked about how much, at the time we were saying, how much is the City of Calgary spending to wrongfully prosecute me, ultimately to wrongfully convicting me. How much money do they spend? You have to keep in mind, for example, the prosecutor and the judge are just on the forefront. You have to think about all the resources that they were drawing on to investigate and everything else, and the whole 9 yards. So there's a whole army of people who spent time. Now, that's taxpayers' money. You got to keep that in mind as well. Spending on to wrongfully convict me, spending years on top of all that. Now, yes, I was suing the City of Calgary and some other parties. And when you think about how much they would have spent compared, for example, to the lawsuit would have been a drop in the bucket. But for some reason, they weren't interested in saying, "Yes, we screwed this whole up, sorry," and made a settlement, non-disclosure, etc. Now, with the conduct of the now former senior counsel for the City of Calgary, seeing to what extremes that he went to, for example, threatening my second lawyer. Now, I've done videos about that in detail. It's really mind-numbing. This whole thing could have gone away soon after they screwed up, and instead they just want to continue going after me. How much money did they spend? They spent $4 million to convict this other guy wrongfully, knowing that he was innocent. That came out of taxpayers' money. It's crazy to think. And when you're dealing with government, they're just throwing around money nonchalantly, like it's not even theirs. They don't care. But there had to have been a point where there, we should just stop and, say, yes, we screwed up. Again, do a settlement, non-disclosure would have been all under the rug, quiet, but no. So can you imagine how much money they spent? And still, the two former police officers lost their careers. The former senior counsel and other careers compromised. My life in shambles right now for many years. For ego. Anyway, I just wanted to give you something to think about. And this goes on every day, everywhere. It really doesn't make sense, does it? Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I just want to do a bonus clip for this video with regards to the individual who's wrongfully convicted and was successful with a lawsuit against the detective for $6 million. Now, as I stated, there were other parties, for example, the city, and they were struck from the proceedings, but they defended the detective. Now, doing debt recovery, for example, for prime, subprime lenders, credit grantors, if somebody, I'm going to use the example of a husband and wife. Say, for example, the wife is found, she owes a debt for a credit card, but the husband made 1 or 2 payments. Then you would bring him in, for example, on the statement of claim as a named party. However, it's also possible, and I'm simplifying all this for my audience. Most people have no working knowledge of law. I do realize there are people who do have working knowledge of law watching, so just bear with me, I'm simplifying this. So bring them in as a co-debtor to recoup that money. Now, even though that, in this case, with this individual was wrongfully convicted, the city was struck, there are ways to get around that, to recover that debt, because a judgment is a debt. Real quick, there's 2 parts to a lawsuit. There's getting to judgment and enforcement of judgment. So you can be successful with a lawsuit. Now you have to enforce it, collect it. And another way to go about it is the individual who's indebted, holding them in contempt. I've talked about this in at least one other video, is basically bringing back debtor prison, but using contempt. There's a court order saying the money's owed, and it has been successfully argued. And that's all I'm going to say. A little bonus clip, something to edify yourself with, and that's about it.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.